What war did you fight in?
Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Anaconda. Anaconda was in Afghanistan, and Iraqi Freedom obviously in Iraq.
That sort of answered my second question, but how old were you when you went in combat?
21, 22, 23, and 24.
Why did you pick the service branch that you joined?
The Marine Corps. I knew I wanted to learn how to become a professional soldier, and the Marine Corps is the most elite of the branches, the most elite fighting force. It has the virtues that most closely resemble the virtues of the ancient samurai, the Spartans, something I grew up admiring. So I thought I could really relate to their culture, and that was the truth.
What do you think was the hardest part about being in combat?
A mixture of things. One, being that age, you have a lot of hopes and a lot of wishes, a lot of goals. You want to get married, you want to have kids, you want to own this, you want to do that. One of the hardest parts was the idea of wondering if you're ever going to get to do those things, and having to accept the fact that you might not be able to do those things. Hardest part about being in combat is just dealing with the fog of war, and that deals with the fatigue and loneliness, depression, wondering what you're doing there, and just always not having any time to do anything that the body normally needs, like sleep and food and whatnot.
What was your job or assignment while you were in?
Well, my job originally was it's called the 0331, which is an overall machine gunner. But after that, I took the scout sniper NDOC and passed, and then I was part of two different detachments. I was part of one hunter-killer squad section, where we were mounted. We were vehicle mounted, so we had 50 cals and Mark 19s on top of vehicles, and we'd go out on vehicles searching for the bad guys and engaging the bad guys, or before that, reporting back to base, like, here's what we found. Do we engage on our own, or do we wait for support, or how does it work? And then another part was a scout sniper detachment, where we were used by different battalions to actually go in there and conduct surveillance and acquire targets. And once we acquired those targets, we reported the targets, the size of them, what the targets consisted of, back to headquarters, and they would tell us either engage, close in and destroy, or eliminate, or just to stand by, maintain surveillance until the rest of the battalion catches up. And then those targets were eliminated by either air, mortar fire, artillery fire, whatnot. So we were essentially just a hunter-killer team.
Were you ever a prisoner of war?
Thank God, I was never a prisoner of war, no.
Is there a specific memory that you'll never forget from being in?
Several, absolutely. Off the top of my head, I'll never forget, I guess the closest call was when an RPG exploded near me. It injured me, nothing crazy. And it actually took out a Marine on the other side of the vehicle we were behind. We were in a firefight, and we were engaged, and we were holding our M16s like this, So an RPG hit close to the hood of the car we were at, and the shrapnel came this way, and since my right arm was, my trigger finger was blocking my face, the shrapnel came this way, and left me with a little gash. Nothing crazy. The doctor said it needed 8-9 stitches. I never got them. I just bandaged it up so I would stay in. But the Marine next to me, who was on the other side, wasn't so lucky. So without going into graphic detail, that specific moment, I'll never forget. Like, what I thought, was it over? Am I awake? Am I not? Definitely, in that actual moment when it actually happened, because of how loud the explosion was, because of the amount of shrapnel, you couldn't really see anything because of the dust and and the smoke from everywhere. In that split second, I thought, okay, that was it. Finally happened. Yeah.
How did you stay in touch with like your family and friends back here?
In Afghanistan, there was no contact whatsoever. In Iraq, the first year, 2003, remember that was the first part of the war. So there was very, very little contact between the start of the war, which was March 2003, and I was there in February. We got there earlier. Okay, so March 2003. We had no contact until June 2003. We couldn't call anyone. We didn't get to a place that had actual telephones. So we really couldn't contact our families back home. The first phone call we had was a 5-minute phone call in one part of Baghdad, like I said, in June. Before that, I mean, they did have some kind of mail service, a mail system, but it would take anywhere from a month to 6 weeks for our mail to get to home, and it would take even longer, 2 months to 10 weeks for the mail to come to us. So the sure bet of actually making contact was via mail, but then again we'd be waiting a long time.
And then, do you recall like the day your service ended and when you came home?
A few times. The weird thing is the way it worked. My first deployment to Iraq was from February 2003 until December 2003. So about a year, 11 months, right? When I came back home from that deployment, I thought it was over. I had left my active duty term, and I joined the reserve station, a reserve contract, a reserve battalion. That reserve battalion ended up getting activated within 2 months of me joining, and then all of a sudden I found myself on active duty again, being deployed to Iraq again, only a couple months after returning, but this time with a different unit. So every end I remember differently. The official end, I think it was December 2007, I felt as if, like, well, what do I do now? Coming back home was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life, let alone going to war. So that was a different obstacle all alone, altogether.
So how were you, like, treated, like, when you came back? Like,
luckily, the country was very supportive. Let's see. First of all, we have a pretty legitimate Veterans Affairs Department that takes care of us medically, education-wise. It gets us the help we need to kind of reacquaint ourselves with normal life, normal society. Overall, the public, very appreciative and very polite. It was in those small niches that I found any resilience at all. When I went back to school, I wanted to get my college education, so I went to. I was taking my college classes, and on individual levels, people were kind of, they judged me, like, oh, who is this guy? Is he a meathead? He's a Marine. He's a rockhead. He's not really brilliant. He's not really smart. He's all about killing. People judged me right